In the heart of Boston lies a prestigious college known for its rich history and academic excellence. But beneath its esteemed reputation, a chilling story unfolds that will leave you questioning what you know about the paranormal. This is the tale of Sarah, a bright and ambitious student whose dream of a promising future turned into a harrowing nightmare. Sarah had always dreamed of attending this college. When she received her acceptance letter, she was ecstatic. Moving into the dorms, she was assigned to a room in an old, ivy-covered building that had been standing for over a century. Her roommate, Emily, was friendly, and they quickly became close friends. The semester started smoothly, with classes, social events, and late-night study sessions. One chilly October night, Sarah was alone in the dorm room, studying for an upcoming exam. Emily had gone out to meet some friends. The room was silent, except for the occasional creaks and groans of the old building. Around midnight, Sarah started to feel uneasy. The air seemed to grow colder, and she could hear faint whispers, like hushed conversations. But she was alone. She shrugged it off as her imagination and decided to go to bed. As she lay there, the whispers grew louder, almost as if they were right next to her. She turned on her side and saw a shadow move across the wall. Her heart raced, but she convinced herself it was just the trees outside swaying in the wind. However, as the shadow seemed to linger longer than it should, she felt an icy breath on her neck and a soft, unintelligible murmur directly in her ear. Her eyes widened, and she lay frozen, unable to move or scream. The next night, Sarah was alone again, as Emily had gone home for the weekend. She was trying to focus on her studies, but the unease from the previous night lingered. Around midnight, the whispers returned, more distinct and urgent. This time, she could make out fragmented phrases, "Not safe," and "Leave now." Her fear grew as she realized these weren't just noises, but actual words. She decided to investigate the source of the whispers. Armed with a flashlight, she checked the hallway, the common room, and the bathrooms, but found nothing. Returning to her room, she noticed the temperature had dropped significantly. She could see her breath in the air. The whispers had stopped, but the sense of being watched remained. Just as she was about to crawl into bed, her phone buzzed with a notification. An unknown number had sent her a video. With trembling hands, she opened it to see footage of herself sleeping, the camera angle from the ceiling directly above her bed. By the third night, Sarah was exhausted, but determined to understand what was happening. She set up her phone to record while she slept. The whispers started again, and she tried to ignore them, hoping they would go away. As she reviewed the footage the next morning, she was horrified. The video showed her door slowly creaking open and then slamming shut with no one there. Shadows moved across the room, and faint whispers could be heard throughout the night. Terrified, she reached out to Emily, who returned immediately. Emily was skeptical, but agreed to help. That night, they both set up their phones to record. Around midnight, the whispers began again. The video footage showed something even more disturbing. The shadows had a human-like form, and at one point, a handprint appeared on the wall next to Sarah's bed, then vanished. Determined to get to the bottom of this, Sarah and Emily decided to stay up all night and observe. They noticed that the temperature in the room dropped dramatically at precisely midnight. As they watched, the door began to creak open again. This time, a cold gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing their candles. The whispers turned into low, guttural growls, and the shadows on the wall seemed to stretch and contort into grotesque shapes. Emily suggested they search for any hidden spaces in the room. After hours of searching, they found a loose floorboard under Sarah's bed. Beneath it was an old, dusty journal and a small, rusted key. The journal belonged to a student who had lived in the room decades ago. Her entries described similar experiences: whispers, cold spots, and the feeling of being watched. The final entry detailed how she had locked something away in the room, something that must never be found. Using the key, Sarah and Emily searched the room until they found a small hidden compartment behind the old radiator. Inside was a small ornate box. The moment they touched it, the whispers turned into screams and the shadows grew darker and more defined. A rancid smell filled the room, like rotting flesh. They opened the box to find an old locket and a letter. The letter revealed that the student, Abigail, had been tormented by a malevolent spirit that had attached itself to the locket. She had locked it away, hoping to contain the spirit. But now that the box was open, the spirit was free once more. That night, the activity in the room escalated. The whispers were now loud and aggressive. The temperature dropped to freezing, and objects began to fly around the room. Sarah and Emily huddled together, terrified. Suddenly, Sarah felt a cold hand grip her shoulder. She screamed, but there was no one there. The presence was becoming more physical, more dangerous. The walls started to bleed dark, viscous fluid, and Emily saw her reflection in the mirror twist and morph into a screaming face. Desperate, they reached out to a paranormal expert. The expert, an elderly woman named Ms. Harding, arrived the next day. She immediately sensed the malevolent energy in the room and agreed to perform a cleansing ritual. She instructed the girls to gather salt, candles, and the locket. Ms. Harding began by drawing a protective circle with the salt, placing candles at each point. She instructed Sarah and Emily to sit inside the circle with the locket in the center. Ms. Harding began to chant in an ancient language, calling on protective spirits to help banish the malevolent entity. As the ritual progressed, the air grew thicker and the room seemed to close in on them. The candles flickered violently and the shadows moved erratically. Ms. Harding asked the spirit to reveal itself. The temperature plummeted and a loud bang echoed through the room. Sarah felt an icy breath on her neck, and Emily saw a shadowy figure standing in the corner, watching them. Ms. Harding continued her chants, the intensity growing with each word. The figure began to move closer, its form becoming clearer. It was a woman, her face twisted in anger and pain. She reached out towards the locket, but the protective circle held her back. Ms. Harding, with a final powerful incantation, cast the spirit back into the locket. The room fell silent, the air warm again. Ms. Harding instructed them to bury the locket far from the college, where it could never be found. They followed her instructions, hoping to end the nightmare. For a few nights, the dorm room was peaceful. Sarah and Emily began to relax, thinking the ordeal was over. But on the fifth night, the whispers returned, more sinister than before. The locket had been buried, but the malevolent presence had not been banished. It was angrier, stronger. The room became a battleground of supernatural activity. The shadows took on horrifying shapes, the walls bled with dark stains, and the air was filled with the screams of the tormented. Sarah and Emily were driven to the brink of madness. Desperate, they decided to leave the college, hoping distance would free them from the spirit's grasp. As they packed, they discovered another hidden journal, this one from the original builder of the dormitory. It detailed a ritual gone wrong, binding the spirits of those who died in the hospital to the building. The locket was only one part of the curse. The entire dormitory was a prison for the restless dead. Sarah and Emily left, but the experiences haunted them. The room remained vacant, with no new students willing to stay there. The building's history was slowly forgotten, but the spirits remained, trapped and vengeful. Sometimes, late at night, students passing by could still hear the faint whispers of the past, a chilling reminder of the horrors that once took place within those walls.
This story serves as a haunting reminder that some places hold on to their past, refusing to let go. Sarah and Emily's ordeal in the dorm room of that old college building is a testament to the unseen forces that linger in the shadows. Stay vigilant and always be aware of your surroundings, because you never know what secrets a place might hold. Because sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones we can't see.